Hello, and welcome back to my channel, Rewind That. It's your girl, Miss K. If this is your first time coming across my channel, welcome. Please be sure to subscribe if you like the vibe and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Today, we are going to be going over this movie called Rebel Ridge, and this is a movie that is on Netflix, and I just finished watching it, and I've been watching this movie since 5 something, okay? And yes, I had to do plenty of stops, or make plenty of stops, should I say. A lot of pausing going on, leaving the house, making runs, like it was a lot. So here I am. And if you're here, great. If you're not, great. Catch the replay. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It was good in my opinion, okay? Very exciting movie. Cool little storyline. So let me just make a note before I forget this one point that I want to make before I get started, because I just don't want to miss out on this one point. Okay, so let me just make that note real quick. Okay, what's up, Stephen Harris? All right, all right, Rebel Ridge. So we start this movie off with this character named Terry, and he's riding his bike, and he has headphones on. What's up, Air Maxwell? He has headphones on. And look, he should be able to have his headphones on and ride the bike without any freaking issues. However, there was a police car behind him that claims he was, trying to get his attention and all that stuff. And he was trying to flee him or whatever. So the cop winds up hitting Terry. Okay. And remember, Terry got his headphones on. So, which this should be a lesson, unfortunately, because we have, the corruption of the law and all that stuff, because we have that in existence. We probably should not be out here with headphones on, right? We should pay attention to our surroundings. I tell my kids that all the time. I have one that he loves to ride in the neighborhood with headphones. I'll be like, don't have both your headphones in. You need to hear what's going on around you. So we have Terry, who is in this freaking situation. Okay, so um when they pull him over, this one officer pulls him over, the one that hit him, and he said, "Look, listen, I was trying to get your attention for a long time, He kind of was a jerk. The first cop that hit him, he was a jerk at first. But then when he started to see that he might have been, he's seeing the tattoos and things like that, realizing that this guy is a veteran, he kind of eased up a little bit, and he started asking Terry if he could go through his bag and everything. And Terry was like, "No, you may not." But then we had the second officer show up, who, his name is Officer Steve. Like, it took me to the end of the movie to find out that his name was Officer Steve. He was a jerk the whole way through. Okay, he asked the other officer, Officer Ev, if he tased him. He's like, "Did you tase him?" And he's like, "Nope." Like, he was, that this cop was obviously trigger happy, but because there was a recent lawsuit against the police department, they had to try to make everything look good on paper. They did not want to do anything that would obviously create any more problems for their police department. So this is the reason why, instead of being trigger happy, he's taser happy. Okay, he just wants to tase him so bad. So you know let me see, I'm trying to get the whole thing. Okay, so look, Terry, we find out that they look into his bag, and he has a lot of money. I'm talking about racks. Okay, and they looking at it like, "Wait a minute, like, this is the awful lot of money, pal. What the heck is going on?" So of course, this is a red flag for them. They're already thinking that this is a drug transaction, this and that. He's gonna deliver it to somebody or whatever. I mean, the guy's on a freaking bike, but whatever, it happens. But in a small town like this, come on now. So Come to find out, he's saying, listen, I am going to bail my cousin out. Okay. And so the only reason why Terry allowed them to go into the bag is because they were saying, they were like calling it in. And Terry was like, all right, if I give you permission to look in the bag, you know, will this process be sped up? Because he was asking them, how long is it going to be? And the initial officer that, ran him over was like, it'll be a little, it'll be a little faster, I guess, but I can't make no promises, whatever. So he was like, okay, you could look in the bag. So that's when he finds all the money. And they're like, oh, this is a lot of money, whatever. So that's when he explains, listen, I have to get to the courthouse by 5 o'clock or before 5 o'clock. Like, I really don't have time for this. I have to bail my cousin out. So now they start asking all these questions about his cousin. And it's like, my cousin don't got nothing to do with this. Oh, what was the charge, this and that. And it's like, wow, so you going from one thing to the next now. So, he's like, my cousin, it was a misdemeanor or something. It was possession. Like, it was basically a misdemeanor, whatever. But he didn't get into too many details about the situation, but they said, we're going to keep the money. We're going to let you go, but we're going to keep the money. So that's what happened. The issue here is that, they took the money that he was using to bail his cousin out. It's going to get deeper, y'all. So just hold on. If you saw the movie, you know that. What's up, DeMarcus? Thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate you. So he tells him, listen, I'm not a criminal. I sold my car for this money, and I also gave up my share of, the restaurant business, my ownership, right? His share of the restaurant business. Okay, whatever. So now we have Terry, who tries to go to the courthouse to rectify this situation, get some help about, what just happened to him. A young lady named Summers there, and she tells him that it's a law that allows people to take a person's money if they suspect that it's drug related. Now, this law is called civil asset forfeiture. And so he's like, I mean, what the heck is, what's up with that? Like, are you going to be able to help me or whatever? So she tells him that the chief gets a cut or whatever, and the property has no civil rights. So if he takes it to court, it will read, quote unquote, the township of Shelby Springs versus $36,000. So he doesn't even get the respect of being named in this situation if he takes it to court. Okay. So he doesn't, I'm sorry. So Summer tells Terry that she can't help him get the money back, but there are some things that she may be able to do. Like, she took down his cousin's name and information to see if she can help with getting him out. So there's the cousin was scheduled to be transferred to the prison on Thursday. Okay, so I think at this time this is either Sunday or Saturday. So at this point we have a little time to get the cousin bailed out. Okay, so here's where the plot thickens, right? And we find out that the main reason why Terry is he's in a hurry to post bail for his cousin is because his cousin, whose name is Michael, cooperated as a witness in a Capital One deletion. Okay, so if he makes it to the prison system and he's spotted, he gonna get done up. Okay. On top of that, the person that he snitched on was a high-ranking person in the gang. All right, so it's real now, right? What's up, Mike Conley and Jeremiah? How you guys doing? Thank you for the super sticker. What's up, Little Rock? You here for the spoilers? You always here for the spoilers. Thank you again. All right, so yeah, it's real now. So we understand why he's so desperate to get his cousin out, because he doesn't want his cousin to die. He doesn't want his cousin to get deleted in prison. Now, here are a few things that I would like to point out, things to know about Terry, okay? Number one, he was in the restaurant business and cashed in his share in order to get the bill for his cousin. I already said that. And he also sold his car, right? Number two, he doesn't give out his phone number to just anybody. So in this scene right here, we hear him tell Summer that he'll get back up with her. He doesn't give out his number like that. Okay. Number three, he has survival skills. Okay. And he knows how to hunt for food. Did y'all see how he caught that fish, okay? No hook, no freaking line, all right? So he dug in the dirt, okay? There was worms in the dirt, took him out, put his hand, he had the worm in his hand, put his hand under the water, and clearly the fish went to that worm and he grabbed that fish out of the water. I was like, okay, my man. I'm talking about these is goals, okay? So he's a vet who served in Iraq. He has a good relationship with Mr. Liu. That's the one that he was in the restaurant business with. He doesn't play about his cousin, and he has a good memory. Okay. Now, also, he is patient. Okay. It took a minute for him to get active, y'all. He was really, really trying to just like stay civil and just go about this in a, the most cordial way, not trying to be volatile or anything like that. But they kept pushing him buttons, and we found out that, there's so he from his background, they use a lot of acronyms, okay? And so in this situation, he was using this acronym called PACE. Now, I didn't have enough time to sit there writing everything down, but I loved that scene when he talked about the acronym PACE, okay? And he told the chief that y'all done ran out of letters. No, I ran out of letters, okay? So we down to E, and now it's about to get active, okay? Now I'm running ahead of myself, but you already know. So next, Terry goes to the police station, and he wants to file a report. So he's basically talking about these people that stole his money like they're criminals. He doesn't say that they're cops right away. So the black lady in the back, this is Officer Jess, she's taking down all the information, blah 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 blah. But when he starts to describe one of the officers, she kind of paused and was like, okay, hold on, give me a minute. So then she goes to the back and she actually sees Officer Steve, who was there, okay? Now, he was the officer at the scene, and he tells Terry that he needs to leave because he's filing a false report, okay? Um, and the officer is being very rude and very antagonistic towards Terry, and he's doing this in front of the chief, who's played by Don Johnson, okay? I was very disappointed in Don. No, I'm just playing. I don't want to say I'm disappointed in Don because he was acting. But it was kind of, it was something seeing him in this role. So, like I said, he's doing this in front of the chief. So that tells you right there that this is the type of conduct uh, from an officer that's allowed. This is their culture. So when the chief steps in, he doesn't make it any better. He actually tells Terry that, considering the situation that he had been debriefed on, Terry has been treated with more than due respect. Okay. Now, the report says that Terry fled an officer of the law, evaded arrest, and suspicion of conspiracy. Okay. And of course, the chief ain't going to be any help because he's also getting a cut of that money. I think I think I already said that. That's what it was her name, Summer, was telling him. So, one thing that I definitely want to mention about this scene right here is that black lady in the back, the officer, I'm just like, imagine all of this going down in front of her, right? She's watching this. So, for me, that was my first, like, that was the first thoughts going through my head. Like, this has to be hard to watch, but I need to see how she's going to come into play in this whole thing here. All right. And listen, I'm glad that it turned out the way it did because she's like the only black officer in this station, okay? In this department. And she works, inside. She's not on patrol or anything like that. She's not on the streets. Okay, they got the red, I don't want to say rednecks, but that's pretty much what they are. They got them out on the streets, okay? So, he tries to make a deal, Terry, he tries to make a deal with the chief by saying that he'll let the chief keep 26K of the money if he can just bail his cousin out for 10. Okay. And, you won't hear from me after this. I won't be a problem. So the chief says, okay, show up Monday morning at 9 a.m. and you'll be able to see your cousin and we'll put this whole thing to bed. But when Terry shows up 3 minutes late on Monday, the chief says, "You just missed him." 3 minutes late, y'all. And I was kind of surprised that Terry was late, giving his, military background and all that stuff. It just seems like he wasn't gonna play around with that, but he was late. Um, so it to me, he's saying that he's 3 minutes late, but it honestly seems like, I don't know. It just seems like they did that on purpose. He did do it on purpose. He did. So Terry goes to chase down the charter bus to tell his cousin that he's gonna get him out. I really like this scene because, he was trying to tell his cousin, listen, you need to request protective custody. The cousin was like, oh no, it's going to be all right. I'm going to be in and out. The charges got lowered and all that stuff like that. It's a lesser charge and all of this. And he's like, no, I'm trying to tell you, like, you're basically in danger. And he was like, okay. He was like, I'm going to get you out. So I like this scene because when he tried to, like, uh, give him a pound or whatever, they missed it. Like the bus driver tried to like speed up or whatever. And his cousin, whose name is Mike, was like, next time, all right, next time, cuz. And he was like, mm-mm. Terry said, no, we're not doing that. So he rode, I'm telling you, like, I don't know what this guy has to be super strong with them legs because he rode up to the bus driver, looked him in the face and was like, yeah, now what? Right? And so as the bus driver is now, speeding up and going ahead, he's able to go back like that with his fist and his elbow and hit his cousin like that. Everybody was mad, like, yeah, he's like, oh, that's my cousin, this and that. It was cute. It was cute. But anyway, so I was hoping that things would turn out better, but it didn't. Anyway, next we have Mr. Lou, who cannot help Terry in this situation anymore because we did see Terry call him and saying, hey, I might need your help, I might need your help. I might need you to send me 10K. Okay. There's no Western Union in this small town, only a post office. So the most that a money order will go is $1,000. So you have to give like 10 money orders. So Mr. Lou, clearly, like I said, they have a good relationship because he was like, okay, whatever, just let me know what you need. Okay. So in this scene right here, we find out that Mr. Lou cannot come through with the 10K anymore because the cops were at the restaurant executing a warrant. Okay. They took Mr. Lou's safe and they had the dog sniffing for drugs and all that stuff. So unfortunately, sorry, did I just say unfortunately? Yeah, anyway. So unfortunately, this happened because Terry gave the police the info about the restaurant. And he was doing this to help him get his money back, of course, like to prove that this was legit, not to freaking implicate uh the restaurant business, Mr. Lou's business, right? But the dirty cops are playing dirty, of course. And Mr. Lou, he's like, I'm in trouble now, and basically you're gonna have to fix this. Well, Terry is saying he's gonna fix it. Mr. Lou was like, okay, whatever. Okay, so the cops from, what is that town that they're in? The cops that in this small town that they're in right now, they contacted the Percyville police where Terry is from. And the Percyville police didn't waste no time going to like tear up Mr. Lou's restaurant, okay? So he still has to get the money, and Summer is trying to help as much as she can without losing her job because she's like, look, I really can't lose my job. I have a kid and all of this stuff, okay? So meanwhile, guys, we have the chief doing a little research on Terry and all of his experience in the service. But after hearing, all the things that he has, all the experience, he's relieved when he finds out that Terry has no combat experience. At least that's what the report says, because Steve is over there like, yeah, it would say it if he had combat experience. Okay, so, but they find out real quick when Terry shows up at the station. And, Terry is obviously way more dangerous than they thought because the Wi-Fi went out when they had Officer Jess looking up all the acronyms, right? So when they find out that the acronym that had MAP in it, they found out that he's skilled in martial arts and very dangerous in close quarters. It said one mind, one weapon. Okay. And I love the way he handled the chief and the officer, because once that dirty cop found out that he's good in close quarters, he came out and was like, Chief, you need to step away from him, this and that. It was too late though, because this is when Terry was breaking down that PACE acronym for him, like, yeah, I'm running out of letters at this point, you know what I'm saying? So now we're in E, and I really forgot. I wish I could remembered what E was, folks. But look how evil he looks down here. He's got this evil laugh going on, like, and I'm talking about Terry, obviously. He looks crazy. What's up, Candy Love? Yeah, he looks crazy, okay? But he had both of them, like he was going back and forth. Like, one, he got his gun from him, then Officer Steve comes out, he tries to shoot him. Listen, he ran over there, wrapped him up, came back over to the chief, because the chief had one tucked in his shoe or whatever, you know, his sock or something like that. Ran over to him, got him wrapped up. I was like, oh my gosh, I loved every moment of it. Okay, so he takes them inside and has them, he has the other officer, Jess, because she was hiding. He like, listen, I know y'all, you got two out on patrol, and you have her in here on duty as well, so stop trying to act like ain't nobody else up in here. So they told Jess to come out because she was hiding, and he told her, Terry told Jess to go ahead and cuff the two officers. I'm sorry, cuff the chief and cuff Officer Steve. So they're sitting on the chairs and they're cuffed to the chairs. So he goes into the cages where he finds all this money that they have, like mad money. But of course, he doesn't want that money. He just wants his money, the money that they took from him. So he has Jess go in there and get it. And that was that. So he has her take him to, like, you know, away from that area so that he can do what he needs to do. So he got back to his bike and everything. And of course, they called it in right away. And the cops were pretty much after him, but he had already made it to the courthouse. So he got his money, okay? Makes it to the courthouse. He got the money. And you know that this means war for the chief, because he didn't even like the fact that Terry felt entitled to make a deal with him. So this is the reason why he was really acting stink with Terry in the first place, because he felt like, who the heck do you think you are coming here trying to make a deal with me? Like, really? That's only for, you know, that entitlement only goes for the Caucasian persuasions. Like, y'all don't do that. So he was already pissed off about that. But now that he done came and put hands on him, oh, you know he is salty about that. And he took his money back. Oh, he mad. Okay, so when he gets to the station, he pays to get his cousin bailed out. You know that Summer is in there also helping. She runs and get it signed from the judge. He comes back. Now he's looking in the, you know, on the mirror and stuff like that to see if there's anybody coming down the hall. The cops are coming down the hall. Summer tries to hurry up and fax over the information to let it be known that, you know, the cousin made bail. This is a scratch in my head moment, y'all, because I don't understand why the cousin wasn't able to make bail. So yeah, I'll talk about that in a minute, hopefully, if I could put a pin in that. All right, so let me see if I can put a pin in there. I'm gonna write a note so I could talk about that. Huh. All right. I mean, because it had to happen so fast. It was like all in the same day, right? So we see that the cops are on him. He gets arrested, and we have this looks like the same cop, Officer Steve. He looks like that's him in the back. He tases him. He couldn't freaking wait. But you know, Terry kind of, he ate it a little bit, but it still put him out. But before he fell on the floor, he grabbed the string from the taser and he pulled on it mad hard, and I think he made the officer fall on the floor, I think. So anyway, so he's knocked out now. You would think they would take this man to not to prison, but to a holding cell. Instead, he's taken to the catacombs, okay? And one of the officers takes Terry for a ride, and then he picks up, oh, it was Officer Ev, and he tells Terry just hear him out because they picked up I was gonna say the sheriff. They picked up the chief, and so he picks up. Hold on, let me get you that picture first, okay? So the chief, his tone is a little different this time, okay? It's not that, they referred to it as a pissing contest and stuff like that. It's not really like that right now because he has to tell him something. And I thought it was kind of funny that the other officer, Ev, was like, just hear him out. So they're driving or whatever, and the chief is asking Terry, what did you see in that cage? And Terry tells him, I saw a whole bunch of money and I saw a bunch of artillery. You know what I'm saying? Enough to like equip a platoon and all that. Also, Terry is very observant, okay? He's also an honorable person. That was one of the things that's one of the like the characteristics that they found when they were like digging up his background and stuff. They found out that he was honorable, and we see this throughout the whole movie. Like, this guy really was honorable. He wasn't trying to delete any of these officers, no matter how much they deserved it. And even when his cousin, which we're about to talk about right now, when his cousin meets his fate, he still didn't try to delete these guys. He was trying to make them meet the justice that he felt like they deserved rather than death, right? So anyway, like I said, they take him for a ride to a hospital where they tell Terry that his cousin was stabbed up pretty bad. They don't know if he's dead or alive right now, but he's coming here. And Terry was like, I told you, this and that. And they have him cuffed up, but Chief says, I'm going to uncuff you, because what I'm about to tell you, you can't be in cuffs when I tell you this. So now, the chief is singing a different tune, you know what I'm saying? Because Terry was right all along. Now remember, they cannot afford to mess up because when their town underwent, or their police department underwent this lawsuit, it hit them pretty bad, especially financially. So they can't afford like any bad press, anything getting out to really screw up the town or whatever. So anyway, so he's saying that he'll give Terry back his 26K, thinking that he can buy his way out of this situation, right? I'm talking about the chief, right? Because he screwed up, right? But he does tell Terry that if he doesn't take the deal, in order to put this whole mess behind them, it's gonna go a different way. So we could still, like, I'm trying to give you an out here. Like, yes, I know that I screwed up and I'm still gonna give you an out, but also if you stay here, we gonna go another way. Okay? So get out this town and don't come back. Okay? And that seems like that was the plan. And we find out later on through the dialogue that Terry was really grateful for this situation. He was grateful for this other opportunity. Like, okay, fine. Even though he wasn't happy what happened to his cousin, he was happy that he was going, walking free and all that stuff. Okay. But unfortunately, guys, what's up, J Mac? Unfortunately, his cousin dies. And I was like, oh man, because they didn't have like the sheet or anything over his head. So I'm thinking, he's sitting here and, the cousin is unconscious, or maybe he's in a coma, basically, right? And I was just like, oh man, when the guy came in, that officer came in, he was like, they're gonna bring the body, blah blah, like referring to the cousin as body. Oh, so I do see that the internet is acting up, guys. I hope you guys can hear me still, because I see one bar, so the internet is trying to act up a little bit. Okay, so the part about him not making bail, this is a scratching my head moment for me, because we saw Summer hurry up and fax over that paper. So my thing is, did they do something to him? Okay, and we're gonna have to put a pin in that as well, because I'm gonna talk about that hopefully toward the end, because they were talking about as the time, I don't want to jump, never mind, we'll get to it. All right, he didn't make the bail, but he should have. So something's not right here. The cops might have did this to his cousin. And I mean, that's a scratch in my head moment for me, but I think that I know what happened. I think that's kind of something that you got to put two and two together, and we'll talk about it. All right, but Summer, she helps Terry leave town. Next thing you know, someone breaks into her house and drugs her. Okay, and so they see that she out here helping him, right? So they break into the house, they drug her, and before she passes out, she tries to call the police department, but she realizes that, there's nothing I can do right now because these are the freaking people that are harming me. So thankfully, Terry gave her the phone number, his phone number, before they parted ways. Like, she drove him out of town, and there was a police car watching to make sure that he drove out of town. Okay, so thankfully he gave her his number, because she would have just been, I mean, who knows what would have happened. I think she would have been okay. But she called him and said, I'm in trouble. So he was supposed to continue to go about his business, but he came back into town. Okay, and this situation, as they talk, this situation could ruin her life because she's an ex-addict, which obviously they knew, which is the reason why they did what they did to her. Okay, she won't get her daughter back, and she won't be able to take the bar because that's basically what she's been studying for. Okay, now after helping Summer, Terry gets caught leaving town. So he's trying to leave, drops her off at work and everything. He's trying to leave, but who sees him? Officer Steve. I mean, it's like, man, it seems like you guys were just on standby waiting for him. You know what I mean? This is a bad picture because it just is. Like, sometimes when it's action, they're moving too fast, it's hard to snap a good picture of it. Okay, so this officer really tried to delete my guy. Okay, like, he was talking to him, then he threw a blicky inside of the vehicle, and he shouted gun, right? And then he pulled the trigger, and it winds up shooting Terry in the back, but I think it went through like his shoulder or something like that. So it was weird because you could well, I'm going ahead, but anyway. Um so I was thinking to myself, like, I'm not understanding why the officer didn't take the close quarters with Terry seriously, because this is the outcome. Like, why would you why would you want to get close to this man? Like, one mind, one weapon. Like, what are we thinking here? Okay, like, he done caught him up, he was in the vehicle, y'all. In the vehicle. Okay, grabbed him up, somehow got out of the vehicle, just wrapped him up real quick, tased him. This freaking guy tried to get back up, he tased him again. It was like too freaking crazy. J Max says Steve was a pain. Some of his actions were triggering. I could imagine he was really, really, really disgusting. Okay, but I loved every moment uh of the interactions that he had with Terry, because Terry was giving it to him. Okay, so now Terry is out here injured, but he is hanging in there, right? He makes a plan to meet up with Summer because the police are harassing her too. They told her to stay away, right? They're warning her, stay away from Terry, and you need to get the heck out of town. Okay, so Terry makes it back to this is his friend Mr. Lou. He makes it back to him, and this is where I was talking about how the the entry of the bullet and the exit is kind of weird, because you could see it's in his arm, but we also see Mr. Lou tending to a back wound, right? A gunshot wound in his back. So it's like, Anyway, so he what's up? Hold on a second, guys. How's it going? Love you. So make sure the door's locked, please. So like I said, Mr. Lou is, we find out that he was a medic, a field medic in the Korean War. Okay. So I'm just trying to make sure that I'm keeping up with my notes, because yeah, I don't know what's going on. Mr. Lou is patching him up, and this is where Summer meets him. Okay. Now, um, By now, Terry and Summer, they know that the chief is keeping this thing quiet, because if they weren't, they would have a task force on Terry's behind. Okay. But since they know that Summer has some info and so does Terry, they want to handle this themselves. So, it's like, okay, let's play then, right? Because the problem is that they're locking defendants up and keeping them for more than they should, right? They're keeping them longer than they should. But Summer doesn't know why. So that's the mystery of this thing right now. But the cops, they're willing to delete people from finding out because they got to keep this under wraps, okay? So the lawsuit against the police department didn't quiet things down like folks thought, okay? Because after they leave this place, they go to find this guy named Elliot that Summer was working with at the courthouse. And Elliot wants to just, keep things to himself. He don't want no parts of this. I just need you to leave me alone. I don't want no parts of this. But he's like, I don't know much, but I don't want to know. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like, well, he's feeling like this is going to keep me protected if I don't know anything. But he helps Summer see the light on this situation, which is the reason why, like he was saying, just go back. How long have you noticed that this stuff has been going on, where they've been keeping defendants in the jail for more than, or for 90 days at least, right? And so she's putting two and two together. Okay, so Elliot tells her, look, don't mention my name. You didn't hear nothing from me. I didn't give you no information. Okay, so they leave there. And when they go to visit the judge, they find out that he was in on it as well. He was getting a pay cut too. And the police department only got their act together on paper. Okay. Now the judge, he lets he lets both Summer and Terry know that the police flags anything that would put the PD in like legal jeopardy. Okay. So this way it stayed, whatever happened, it would stay in the town court and they wouldn't be able to get a public defender. And also they found out that the reason why they were doing it for like 90 days, it had something to do with the dash cam and stuff like that. So it was a lot going on, child. And the daggone judge tried to delete himself by taking too many pills, because he knew that stuff was hitting the fan. And a lot of these people, when they see the walls closing in, they don't want to deal with the consequences. So, in a lot of these movies, we find that some of these people will end it themselves rather than get caught up and ruin their reputation or have to go to jail. Like, they're not trying to hear that. They would rather die. Okay. So now they got to get the drives from the catacombs. This is where they keep the this is where they keep the drives with all the stuff that happened on the cam. So we find out that on the dash cam, it records about 3 minutes prior to it going off. I remember when I was an EMT, it did the same thing, but it didn't do 3 minutes. It did like 10 to 15 seconds, so that if we hit the brakes too hard on something, it would record what we were doing 15 seconds before that happened. So, you kind of get to see if the driver, the EMT driver, was at fault, or was it a situation outside. And then sometimes we would have to take another class or something like that if we out here driving crazy. So anyway, this situation is 3 minutes recorded prior to the lights going off. So if the sirens go off, they automatically record in the situation 3 minutes before the major event or whatever took place. Okay, so they're in the catacombs, like I said, but they have company. Okay, and a few guys come in and they set the place on fire. Now, thankfully, I don't know what the heck she had coconut water for, but it came in handy. Summer had coconut water and she stopped the fire from spreading, because they were trying to burn the catacombs down, because that's where they had all the evidence. Okay, so they stop the spreading of the fire, and they press on and they find some SD cards, because this is kind of like where, I guess, it was like a backup thing, right? Before they leave, Terry restarts the fire. So we find out that the SD cards were more recent. So Terry was saying, okay, so if they're more recent, as up to like a few days ago, then that means that whatever happened to Mike, my cousin, is on the SD cards. And, Summer was like, yeah. So they grabbed up the SD cards and they, left out of there. But like I said, they restarted the fire because Summer was like, what are you doing? Terry said, if I don't restart the fire, they will. So let's do that. Unfortunately, as they're trying to leave, Summer is telling Terry that she needs to do something. I'll catch up with you here or whatever. I'll meet you over here. He said, meet me in the alleyway. So I guess she wanted to go back into the judge's office and get something, but she was busted by a bunch of cops. And so now they take her. And so now this kind of like averts the mission, it's screwing things up a little bit, okay? So now Terry has to find her. This is the thing about this guy. He's loyal and he's not leaving anybody behind. Okay. So I'm already made up my mind that we in this together and he's sticking with it. Okay. So now Terry has one of the officers because he followed them taking her somewhere. Like he don't know where, like they reached this destination, right? The cops, they reached the destination Terry was following. But one cruiser stayed behind. The officer was inside of a cruiser. He stayed behind. And some other officers drove off with Summer in the car. So Terry goes ahead and full speed and just bangs into the cruiser with the guy in there. Funny thing is, while he was choking this guy out, about to put him to sleep, I thought this was Officer Steve. So I'm like, yeah, get him, kill him. You know what I'm saying? But that's not his way. I'm sorry. It was just not his way. I really admired that about him, but I wanted him to delete Steve. I'm sorry. I really did. But come to find out it wasn't Steve. And this guy, this officer, I think they said his name was McGill or something like that. He was, saying a whole lot of other different stuff like, I'm not one of them. I have kids. I'm married, this and that and the third. And meanwhile, while he was saying this, I'm still thinking this is Officer Steve. So I'm like, oh, look, listen to you now. You about to freaking be deleted, and now you want to talk about how you got a family and and you married and blah blah blah. No, you don't care about none of that when you freaking out here doing what you doing, right? But then I realized later on that that was not that was not Officer Steve. So this is the time when I'm thankful that Mr. Terry is not on a freaking deleting mission, okay? So now Terry has Officer McGill, and the new plan is to meet at Rebel Ridge, okay? The name of the movie. They're going to meet at Rebel Ridge to make a trade, all right? So, of course, I feel like these dirty cops, they were not going to play fair or own up to the deal or nothing like that. I mean, we've seen the chief go back on his word. So of course, if the chief does, these officers are going to do the same thing, right? So I guess Terry knew that too, because honey, he went straight for the money. He used Officer McGill. He put him in I think a car. Like, whose car was that? It was Summer's car, right? Put him in there, tied him up, had him, that was like a little decoy situation or whatever. And they thought that they had eyes on him, okay? And they got the word. Not Summer, what is her name, the black cop, Officer Jessica, she got word that the other officers had eyes on Terry. Meanwhile, it wasn't really Terry, it was Officer McGill in there, all tied up and his mouth taped up and everything, okay? Thankfully they didn't go there shooting first. They held their fire, and then they saw that it was Officer McGill in the vehicle. So meanwhile, Terry is over there. He got his little plan going on where he must have attached like a rope or something strong enough to, when he hits the pedal, he's driving off, and I think it was like on a pole or something like that, like this big pipe. So when he drove off, it pulls, like it rips up. I don't want to say rip, that's not right, that's not the right word, but anyway, he was able to like create a freaking hole in the wall, okay? He was going after that money, trying to not take it, he was trying to destroy it. He was trying to set it on fire. Okay. And you know that that is something that the police, they did not want that. Okay. So we saw what the heck happens, y'all. Okay. He goes in there because you know they were talking about all of these different weapons and how they have like de-escalation tactics and stuff like that, or techniques and things like that, and certain weapons that are non-lethal. So comes to find out, when he gets inside of the police station, it's just the chief and Jess in there. So he winds up shooting the chief with one of those non-lethal weapons. Okay. And he tells Jessica, listen, just calm down. It's a non-lethal shot. Relax. So Chief tries to get up again. He shoots him again. He tells Jess that I know who you are. Summer told me about you. She didn't give you up. She calls you Serpico and all of this stuff. So just, help me out here. So he gave her a gun. He didn't take the bullets out this time, because the last time when he was in there and he had her put the cuffs on the chief and Officer Steve, he made sure he took the bullets out. So this time he's saying, look, I'm trusting you, girl. You know what I'm saying? You supposed to be, I'm hearing that, you know what I mean? You kind of on the side of right. So I'm letting you have a blicky with some bullets in it. So when they get outside, she flips it on him a little bit, and she has the blicky on him, and she's like telling everybody, we got it under control, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So now it turns into this whole standoff, because you have Officer Steve, who is just messing up this whole thing. He is about to shoot Terry. And he tells him to hand over the money, or no, not hand over the money, hand over the SD cards, because he asked, he's like, did he have SD cards on him? And Jess was like, yes. So he's like, hand them over, this and that. He wanted to make sure he got them. He takes the SD cards, throws them on the ground, and he stomps them out. I was hoping that it was some type of, decoy as well, like some type of fake SD cards, and they still had the evidence somewhere safe, because they gave it to Jess, because they were thinking that, well, Terry was thinking that she was going to be the one to be responsible and take it to the people that really, you know what I mean, take it to the press or whoever, right? Make it known. And she flips it and turns the gun on him. I'm like, come on, Jess, really? Like, what are you doing, girl? But lo and behold, y'all, when Jess fails, we got Officer Ev coming out of nowhere. Okay, this is the officer that in the very beginning of the story, in the very beginning of the movie, he was the one who ran Terry over. And I will tell you this about him. I told you that when he first ran Terry over, he was acting like a jerk. But when he found out that he was like, when he found out who he was, this and that, he seemed to be a little better. But he wasn't acting like a jerk as much as Steve. Like, Steve was really horrible, okay? So I just realized that about him. I was not surprised when he came out of nowhere, because he was saying, listen, calm down, you know what I'm saying? We're going to call this in or whatever. Like, we're officers of the law, blah, blah, blah. This is what Ev is saying. The one that freaking ran Terry over, all right? So now it's a police standoff, because Steve is not trying to hear it. So they're all like this, stop, stand down, don't shoot, don't, because it's like the officers, everybody's surrounded, they don't know what the heck to do. So we got the what's his name? We got the chief coming out, and he shoots Ev. And he's like, oh, it's just a leg wound. But guys, he shot him in the thigh. Very bad area, okay? Up there where folks die, because that's one of the main arteries up there. And so it's looking bad. He's probably about to bleed out. And now you can tell Officer Jess, the only black officer, she's looking like, oh crap, like what the heck is going on? And all I remember is You know, they're arguing about it, about the situation, and they're saying, get a medic. What is her name? Jess. She's saying, get a medic. They're arguing, saying, no, we don't need to get a medic. Like, because they want to keep everything under wraps. They want to keep it close to their chest. They don't want nothing getting out. So we hear Terry, because, you know, he's still like this, and Jessica still has her gun on him. So he just says Serpico like that, right? When he says Serpico, Jess wasn't the one that did anything. Um, he threw, while they were arguing, he grabbed the, what did he grab? Was it money? No. I don't know what the heck he grabbed, y'all. He grabbed something, and he also grabbed Officer Ev by, like, whatever that is, that he was able to pull him, drag him across. So as he's running to get behind like a police car, they're shooting at him. You know, it doesn't matter if he's grabbing Officer Ev. He's obviously grabbing Officer Ev because nobody there cares enough to get him medical attention. So what is the goal now? Terry is going to get this officer medical attention, even though he's the one who started this whole daggone thing. Okay, he gonna help him get the medical attention that he needs. So they're still going through this whole thing. They're trying not to shoot. There's one guy saying, one young officer says to Officer Jess, I don't know where to shoot. And she says, so then don't. Like, because we had Terry throwing like these little, they look like grenades, but they were like, you know, I don't know what the heck they're called, y'all. If y'all know, that's great. Please put it in the chat. That's fine. But they were, when he threw them over, they had smoke. You know, they were giving out smoke. So it was fogging up the place. They couldn't see anything. Okay. So they finally get away because Officer Ev was, you know, trying to school Terry about like the whole thing with the cam and the sirens. He said, if you can make the sirens go off, you can record my death, right? Because he figures at this point he's gonna die because he's bleeding out. Like, this is, like I said, this is an arterial wound, so you bleed out very quickly with that. So he's like, or mine. Right, that's what Terry is saying. But the point is, just get over to that siren, get over to one of the cruises and hit that siren. You got about a few more minutes, okay? And then you'll be able to get it on recording that the chief shot me. So of course Terry is putting himself in harm's way by doing this. But first, he wants to make sure, because I forgot to let you guys know or to mention that Officer Steve, he drugged Summer again. So she was in the back, in one of the cruises, in the back seat, snoring and everything. And, you know, she was out. So Terry is like, do you have Narcan? And then Officer Ev says, yes, it's over here, whatever. He lets him know where he can get the Narcan. Then he has to go, you know, dodge bullets to go grab Summer out of one of the cruisers to bring her over. No, he got in the cruiser. My bad. He did not grab her out. He went to go get into that cruiser, dodging bullets. He made the sirens go off as he's doing that. And then he drove over to where Officer Ev was, you know, sitting on the ground. And he says, show me how to, walk me through, you know, how to use the Narcan or whatever. And so he was like, you know, he showed him how to do it. He put it through her nose, all that stuff. It's so funny that they're talking about Narcan because this is the stuff I deal with every single day at work. Talking to people, trying to, you know, teach them how to go through this or whatever, blah, blah, blah. So it was like hitting close to home. But anyway, so she wakes up, okay, but also we get Officer Ev into the cruiser as well, and they're driving off. Now, when he went over there to get into that other cruiser to Summer, I thought he beat the heck out of Officer Steve, right? Like, he was elbowing him. And I was like, yes, it looked like he almost like caved in the side of his face a little bit, but he still freaking got up. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, come on now, stop it. So he still got up anyway. And as Terry was trying to drive away, he like was hanging on to the window, hanging on to the door, I'm sorry. And no matter what was going on, I mean, I thought that he was gonna just kind of drive and keep driving until he made Officer Ev hit another truck or whatever. But then um Summer woke up and she was kind of like hitting him in the face or whatever, and he fell finally. But as they were driving away, Officer Ev was telling them to, like, shoot the wheels or something like that. Or somebody was telling them to shoot the wheels out so they can't get away. So unfortunately, they were able to shoot out the tires. Sorry. And as they're driving, they're really not getting too far because now they have a freaking flat tire, and they don't give a daggone. They, when you can hear over the radio, they're saying, do we still have an officer on board, this and that and the third? And I'm hearing over the radio somebody saying, no, it's 3 armed suspects. And I said, are you kidding me? So you gonna go and put Officer Ev in with the 3 armed suspect? Like, that's so messed up. Like, they don't care. As long as they're gonna uh not clear their name, but as long as they're gonna protect themselves, they don't give a daggone. So that's that. Now, finally, guys, we have Serpico who comes through because we have other cruisers surrounding the cruiser that Terry is driving. Okay, Serpico comes through and she gets past Terry, looks at him, and we had the chief in the truck that was in front of Terry. So she goes and, rams her car. She rams the chief off the road, and then she kind of, like, helps that, and she lets it be known that, they're going over their codes and everything. And we hear on the radio that there's some type of code. I don't remember what it was, but you had Terry asking Officer Ev, like, what does that mean? And he was like, it means that we have an escort. So they finally were escorted to the hospital. They make it there safe, and I'm like, yay. So Summer gets the medical attention she needs, and then so does Officer Ev. And that Officer Ev told him, listen, if they ever delete any of the evidence of this, of the dash cam, you can go into the back where there's a DVR or something like that. So Terry goes into the trunk and he rips it out. So we know that Terry has all that information still to hopefully put this dirty freaking police department under the jail, hopefully. Okay. And I was glad that Serpico finally came through, honey, because, girl, you had me a little worried there. Okay. Now, I wanted to talk about how we never found out what happened to Mike. So this is a thing, and I'm just realizing this. If the plan was to make bail, why did Mike, so the story is that Mike, like, as soon as he got through processing, he was shanked up. So I don't know if that's really what happened, right? Because she faxed it over as soon as possible, things like that. I mean, that it could be possible, but a part of me is wondering if the cops had something to do with what happened to Mike. I think it is because that's what it seemed like they were alluding to. Terry was saying that, they must have did something to Mike. And obviously it sounds like they would, because of the fact that they was salty about this whole thing that, Terry was doing. They just didn't appreciate this guy. Like, who the heck do you think you are coming here? And plus, we know that he knew a lot of information. He saw a lot of stuff in the cage when he was at the police department, and everything. So I just think that it's kind of weird. But also, I'm still a little confused because when he was having the conversation, like when Terry got arrested, and they went to go pick up the chief along the way, they were saying, like, listen, you were right about whatever happened, right? So it seems like they might not have had anything to do with it, with what happened to Mike. I'm sorry. So I'm just really confused about it. I think that's the biggest and the only scratch in my head moment about this whole movie, is that I don't really know what happened to Mike. I mean, is what happened to Mike what they said, or did the freaking cops get to him? I don't know. But anyway, guys, I mean, because this, like, he got into processing. Like he made it through processing and then he got attacked so severely like that. Like, I don't know. Mm, I mean, do you think that the officer, the chief tried to like play it off like that, where he tried to act like, oh, we didn't know and all of this, but it was just something to do out of spite, like to allow his cousin to die like that out of spite? I don't know. But that was one of the scratch in my head moments. This is how the movie ended, guys. I enjoyed it. I was nervous to a point where I had to stand up at the end of the movie. Like, I'm standing up and I'm rocking back and forth. That's all I was doing. Rocking back and forth, rocking back and forth. I was a little afraid that when he pulled like the DVR out of the trunk that he was probably going to get shot in the back or something like that. I was so afraid and so nervous, but I I'm happy that it ended the way it did. You know, I guess we can safely assume that that whole department is going down. Um and what else? And I mean, I don't know. Just assume the whole department is going down. I'm glad of how it ended. It was good enough for me. I liked it. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say about it. So, anyway, when you finally watch the movie, some of you guys were here for the spoilers. And when you finally watch it, let me know how you felt about it. And that's pretty much that. So, oh shoot. I didn't have my charger plugged up this whole time. Well, great. Perfect. I'm about to end anyway. So, battery is dying, and that is okay. LSW said he told his cousin that his cover was blown and to stay low. Okay. Right. And that's the thing, though. Like, he, they said he just made it through processing. So, it's kind of like, how am I going to stay low making it through process? You know what I'm saying? But he told him to ask for protective custody. So that's another thing too. And my thing too is that Summer, excuse me, if she was the one who basically faxed over the information that bail was made, why did y'all process him? You know what I'm saying? That's the part where all the questions keep coming. Why did y'all process him? It sounds like a setup to me. And they kept saying when they found out about the dash cam, they kept saying, "Oh, maybe I could see what happened to Mike on here." You know what I'm saying? And even as recent, there was like on the SD cards, it was more recent situation because on the dash cam stuff, I think they keep it up to 90 days or whatever they were saying, and the SD card thing was more recent. So it's like, okay, whatever happened to Mike, that happened about 2 days ago or so, maybe, right? 2 to 3 days ago. So we could get that. We might be able to see what happened to him. So I don't know. Hmm. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. But anyway, guys, I really appreciate you all. It's 1:16 a.m. And I appreciate you guys coming. I mean, if we're gonna do the movie thing, I guess we might have to give everybody a heads up maybe a few days in advance. But I'm glad that you watched it, LSW, and J Mac, you watched it. Let me know what you guys thought about this movie, okay? Thank you guys for being here. LSW, J Mac, Candy Love came through, Jeremiah came through, Demarcus Little Rock, Aisha K, Air Maxwell, Rashonda Greer, and Stephen Harris. Appreciate you guys. And thank you for the super stickers as well. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Until next time, take care and be blessed. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Make sure you make some suggestions for our next movie. Okay, bye.